The joy from the clinic still lingered in the air when they stepped outside. Neo felt as if her feet barely touched the ground. Every time her hand brushed over her stomach, she thought of the twin heartbeats that had filled the room. Jiho walked beside her, his hand protective on her lower back, his eyes soft with a mixture of pride and reverence. The morning sun had climbed higher, throwing sharp golden light across the clinic's entrance. But outside, unseen eyes were waiting. The world had moved faster than they realized. Newspapers had already splashed their engagement across headlines. Social media hummed with excitement about the couple who had captured hearts and broken expectations. But it wasn't just admiration, it was hunger. Hunger for photographs, for headlines, for exclusives. As Jiho guided Neo into the car, she caught sight of a camera lens peeking from behind a parked vehicle. At first, she thought it was just one photographer, but then she noticed another and another. Shadows shifted near the corner of the street. The distant whine of motorcycle engines reached her ears. Her heartbeat, still so attuned to the miracle inside her, now raced with fear. Jiho noticed her stiffen. He followed her gaze, and his eyes darkened. A flicker of tension crossed his face, but his movements remained calm. He helped her into the passenger seat, shut the door firmly, and walked around to the driver's side. As soon as the engine started, the first motorcycle revved. By the time Jiho pulled onto the road, two cars had fallen into place behind them. Their polished bodies gleamed under the sun, but the way they moved, close, deliberate, was anything but casual. Two motorcycles weaved between them, darting near Jiho's car like predators circling prey. Neo gripped the armrest. "Jiho!" Her voice trembled. His hand reached over, finding hers, squeezing once. "It's okay," he murmured, though his jaw was tight. "Stay calm." But the chase had begun. The motorcycles surged forward, their riders lifting cameras with one hand, snapping frantically while steering with the other. Flashes exploded even in daylight, disorienting Neo. A car cut sharply to the side, boxing them into the lane. Another revved close behind, too close, the sound rattling through the vehicle. Neo gasped as one motorcycle swerved so near she thought its mirror would scrape against Jiho's door. Her hand clutched his arm. "They're too close, Jiho. What if—" "Breathe, Neo," he said firmly. His voice carried calm, but his eyes flicked constantly to the mirrors, calculating. Her chest heaved. The babies. The thought struck her like lightning. The lives inside her. What if something happens? What if— Jiho sensed her spiraling panic. He lifted her hand to his lips, kissed her knuckles quickly, and placed it against his chest where she could feel his heartbeat. "With me," he whispered. "Feel it. Stay with me." The motorcycles darted again. Neo flinched as one rider leaned dangerously, his camera angled directly at her through the window. The click, click, click echoed like gunfire in her mind. Jiho's eyes hardened. "Enough." He pressed twice on the side of his watch. A faint vibration pulsed. Miles away in a private control room lit by screens, Taiho's monitor flashed alive. The location beacon blinked red, showing Jiho's car boxed in on a city street, the paparazzi swarming like bees. Taiho leaned forward instantly, his hand tightening on the edge of the desk. He opened the secure channel. His voice cut through Jiho's car speakers with steady authority. "Jiho, Neo, I see you. Do not panic. I have your location. We'll get you out of this." Neo exhaled shakily, tears threatening. "Taiho, listen to me," Taiho said, his voice calm but commanding. "Jiho, keep your eyes on the road. Neo, take the watch off his wrist. You'll follow my instructions exactly. Do not hesitate. Do not argue. Every second counts." Neo's hands trembled as she unbuckled Jiho's watch and slipped it onto her own wrist. She felt its weight, strange and heavy, like holding a lifeline. "Good," Taiho said. "Now breathe in, Neo, slowly. You're safe. The technology will guide you. Just trust me." Jiho tightened his grip on the wheel. "Tell us what to do." "Coming up is a tunnel," Taiho explained, eyes flicking across his digital map. "The paparazzi will try to close in there. They think it's the perfect trap, but that tunnel is also where I can flip the grid. Neo, press the silver button on the side of the watch. Twice. Do it now. She pressed. The watch vibrated, and suddenly a small holographic map projected faintly against the dashboard, invisible to anyone outside. Red dots marked the chasing vehicles. Green lines traced possible exits. Neo gasped. Jiho, I see them! I see all of them! Exactly, Taiho confirmed. You are now my eyes. Keep telling him where they are. Jiho, follow her guidance. I'll work on clearing your exit. The tunnel loomed ahead. The motorcycles sped up, engines roaring. One swerved so close Neo cried out, convinced it would crash into them. Jiho kept steady, his knuckles white, his face carved with focus. Left lane, Jiho, Neo said, her voice shaking but steadying with each word. One car coming up fast on the right, 2 motorcycles behind us, red dot ahead at the exit. They're waiting there. Jiho swerved smoothly into the left lane, just as the car on the right tried to box them. The move saved them by inches. Neo gasped, clutching her chest. They would have hit us, she whispered. But they didn't, Jiho said firmly. Keep going. In his control room, Taiho's fingers flew across his keyboard. He hacked into the traffic grid near the tunnel. One by one, lights turned red in the cross streets, forcing incoming cars to halt. He rerouted flow, clearing Jiho's path. But the swarm behind them remained relentless. He then pressed the most sensitive line of King Jihoon. He had to act very fast. I need authorization. Open the secondary control from your study. Override code 6-9 Delta. It's urgent. In the palace, the king leaned over his laptop. Within moments, his console lit up, granting Taiho deeper access. Do it, the king said gravely. Done, Taiho replied. His voice returned to Jiho and Neo. 30 more seconds. Hold steady. The tunnel darkened around them, lights flickering overhead. The motorcycle's engines echoed eerily, bouncing off the concrete walls. Neo's hands shook as she clutched the watch, calling out positions. One behind us, too close. Jiho, brake a little, just a little, let them overshoot. Jiho tapped the brake. The motorcycle swerved forward in surprise, nearly clipping their bumper before shooting ahead. Jiho accelerated again, creating space. Neo's breath caught. You did it. You made him lose balance. Focus, Jiho reminded her gently. Then Taiho's voice. Now, Jiho, left lane again. At the end of the tunnel, slow down. Neo, press the blue button. Neo pressed. The watch emitted a faint pulse. Ahead, as they neared the tunnel's end, a barricade of redirected traffic opened. One clean lane, reserved for them. Every other direction was gridlocked by Taiho's manipulations. But the media had grown desperate. More motorcycles appeared, swarming. Cameras flashed wildly. Neo flinched, nearly blinded. Jiho squinted, steady, guiding the car with precision. The watch beeped. You're live, Taiho said grimly. The signal's been hijacked. Satellite feeds are broadcasting this chase across television. The whole country is watching. Jiho, when you stop, you must address them. Neo's stomach twisted. The whole country, their baby's safety, her own face plastered across screens in real time. She wanted to scream. But Jiho's hand found hers again. His calm steadied her. The exit approached. The swarm still chased, but now they were funneled, slowed. Jiho spotted a wide shoulder space where he could stop without danger. He flicked the indicator, slowed the car deliberately, and pulled to a halt. The motorcycles screeched to a stop around them. Cars braked sharply. Cameras were raised instantly, shutters snapping in a frenzy. Jiho killed the engine. Silence filled the car for a moment. Neo's chest rose and fell rapidly. Jiho reached over, cupped her face in both hands, and pressed his forehead to hers. Stay here, he whispered. You and the babies. I'll handle this. He stepped out. The reporters surged forward, shouting, microphones shoved toward him. Cameras flashed, drowning the daylight in bursts of white. Jiho raised a hand. His voice, when it came, was firm, steady, but laced with controlled fire. You nearly caused an accident today. You risked lives, my fiancé's life, our unborn children's lives, and your own. For what? A photograph? A headline? Fame cannot be worth blood on the road. Privacy is not a privilege, it is a right. And sometimes respecting that right is the difference between life and death. The crowd hushed, his words carrying more weight than any denial or confirmation. He continued, his tone softer but cutting. Yes, Neo and I are engaged. Yes, we are expecting children. But you did not need to endanger us to know this. If you had come to my company, if you had asked, I would have told you. Respect does not cost you anything. But this... He gestured to the swarm of vehicles. This costs us safety, peace, dignity. His eyes narrowed. Do better. Be human before being reporters. The silence that followed was heavy. Even the clicking of cameras slowed. His words struck like a mirror, forcing every lens holder to confront what they had just done. Neo, watching from inside the car, felt her chest swell with both pride and love. He was not only her partner, he was a man who carried truth like a shield, and the world, watching live, could not look away. Shoved forward, and shouts rose from every side. But as soon as Jiho lifted his hand, palm open, the crowd hushed in instinctive obedience. His face was calm, though shadows of strain lined it. His suit, slightly creased from the drive, carried no attempt at grandeur. His eyes scanned the crowd, not with anger, but with a steady disappointment that pierced deeper than fury ever could. When he spoke, his voice did not thunder. It cut through the air with clarity, calm and sharp as glass. Do you realize what you just did? His words fell heavy. The reporters blinked, shifting uneasily. You nearly caused a disaster. My fiancée is inside this car. She is carrying our unborn children. 2 tiny lives, no bigger than my palm, beating with heartbeats we just heard for the first time this morning. He paused, his voice tightening for the first time. You risked them. You risked her. You risked me. And you risked yourselves. For what? A photograph? A headline? A few more clicks on a website? Murmurs rippled through the crowd, but no one interrupted. Cameras kept flashing, though the sound now seemed intrusive against his quiet gravity. Jiho continued, his gaze unwavering. Fame cannot be worth blood on the road. No news is worth a life. Yet today, your pursuit could have ended in tragedy. That is the truth, and all of you know it. The motorcycles weaving inches from our doors, the cars swerving. It could have taken only one mistake, 1 second, and instead of photographs, you would have had wreckage. His voice dropped lower, forcing the microphones closer. You see us as a story, but we are people. She is a daughter, a sister, a woman who worked hard to build her life before any of you knew her name, and I am a man who simply fell in love. We did not ask to be chased like prey. We did not ask to have our joy turned into a spectacle. Privacy is not a luxury. It is a right. And sometimes respecting that right is the difference between life and death. Neo, still in the car, pressed a hand over her mouth, her eyes shining. She had known Jiho could speak with power, but this was something different. This was not business, not charm. This was his heart laid bare before the world. Jiho straightened slightly, his shoulders broad but his tone steady. Yes, Neo and I are engaged. Yes, we are expecting children. But you did not need to endanger us to know this. If you had come to my company, if you had written to us, I would have told you. You would have had your story without risking our safety. Respect does not cost you anything, but what you did today could have cost us everything. He let the words linger, his eyes scanning over the crowd of lenses and flashing bulbs. I ask you, when did chasing become more important than dignity? When did getting the first picture become worth forgetting the first rule of humanity? To protect life. The crowd was silent now, even the camera shutters slowing. His words reached not just those in front of him, but the millions watching on television. Jiho's tone softened, but it carried a deeper edge of truth. I have seen people lose themselves in pursuit of power, money, and control. But today, I saw something else. People willing to risk strangers' lives for a headline. That is not journalism. That is not passion. That is recklessness. That is cruelty dressed as curiosity. He gestured back to the car where Neo sat, her silhouette visible through the glass. That woman inside is the love of my life. She is also now the mother of my children. Do you understand what that means to me? Every breath she takes, every smile she makes, every heartbeat of the babies inside her, they are my world. And you threatened them." His voice broke slightly, his emotion raw and unfiltered. "I will not allow anyone to endanger them. Not enemies in business, not enemies in politics, and certainly not people with cameras chasing us down a road. If you respect me, respect her. If you want our story, ask. Do not hunt us like animals." The words hung heavy in the humid tunnel air. He inhaled slowly, steadying himself. Then his tone shifted again, this time into something almost fatherly, almost like a lecture meant to guide rather than scold. "You call yourselves reporters, journalists, photographers. You say you serve the public, then serve them well. Serve them truth, not chaos. Serve them with integrity, not intrusion. Because if you forget integrity, then you are no different from those who spread lies for money. And if you forget humanity, then you are no different from those who destroy lives for sport." Neo felt her throat tighten with tears. She had never seen him like this before. Jiho wasn't simply addressing paparazzi. He was addressing a sickness in the way people consumed and chased stories, and every word rang with truth. Jiho went on. "Yes, I am wealthy. Yes, I am a public figure. But before all of that, I am a man. And she is a woman who deserves peace. We are not spectacles. We are not entertainment. We are humans, and every human deserves the right to walk without fear, to drive without being chased, to live without being cornered." He leaned slightly closer to the microphones. "Never forget, behind every photograph you snap, there is a soul. Behind every headline you write, there is a life. Treat them with respect, because the weight of your choices is heavier than you think." A hush fell over the tunnel. Even the photographers lowered their cameras slightly. Jiho's final words came softer, but more powerful than any roar. "One day when you put down your cameras and go home, you will sit with your families. You will look at your children. Ask yourself then, if they were chased down a road, if their safety was put at risk, if their privacy was shattered, would you call it just another day at work? Or would you call it what it really is? Harm. Think of that before you do this again. Think of the lives you touch. Because sometimes, the story you chase is not just a headline, it is someone's heart." He stepped back, his chest rising with a heavy breath. The reporters, stunned, didn't shout questions. They didn't swarm. They stood in silence, their cameras still, as if the weight of his words had momentarily disarmed them. And in living rooms across the country, people sat glued to their screens, watching a billionaire speak not with power, but with raw humanity. The broadcast replayed within minutes. Clips of his words spread like wildfire. Hashtags surged online. Respect privacy, Jiho speaks truth, love is human. Some journalists criticized their own industry. Some defended, but most of the public agreed. Jiho's speech was a wake-up call. At home, Tumi held her phone, tears streaming as she watched. "That's my sister's man," she whispered proudly. And Neo, still sitting in the car, pressed her palm against her belly. Her tears fell freely, but they weren't of fear anymore. They were of pride, love, and relief. She whispered so softly only the babies could hear. "That's your father." He gave them a lesson in a chill and straightforward manner. Jiho took off with Neo, leaving the paparazzi behind as they headed back home. Thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow.